So then we can check the, we're going to want to check comments.
Hey, everybody. How you guys doing? Sorry, we're a little bit late to the start. We're having some technical difficulties with the USB port on the computer because one's like a USB 2 and the other's like a USB 3. So it needed a very specific port to get the camera feed to work. So I think we're in action now. Seems to be showing up. So Jonathan's just checking the Facebook feed to make sure it's still working, but I think it's looking good, right?
Yeah, we should be all set.
All right.
So hello, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonathan. I'm the social media coordinator here at the camera shop, and this is Kenny Hekhuis, local photographer and our store ambassador.
Thanks. Appreciate the intro.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you guys again. It's been a while since we've been on here, and definitely looking forward to kind of going through some experiences today with you guys. And Jonathan had this great idea and concept to start kind of interviewing people in the area, and then also to kind of share experiences. And tonight's topic is going to be how we kind of got into it. What got us into photography?
Yeah, right? Kind of how we got our start in photography, as well as we're going to share some photos that kind of got us there. So, see, Brad has joined us.
Hey, Brad.
Hello,
what's
Brad.
Happening?
Welcome. Thanks for the warm welcome. And yeah, we'll get started. So want to hear from you first, Kenny. Kind of what got you into photography? How long you've been doing it? Kind of like, tell me your start.
Awesome. So I started a while ago, just with basic cameras, point and click type cameras, back even in high school a little bit, just playing around with stuff. Not any formal training per se, just kind of just playing around, dinking around. Got into college, had my first kind of point and click camera. It was, just kind of one of those digital times where things were kind of new to digital. This was back in 99 when I started college. Kind of give you my date. I'm 41 years old now. For me, it was kind of exciting because it wasn't film, and I had got a little Canon camera. It was just kind of one of their point and click kind of cameras.
Okay.
And I just took pictures. I lived in Florida, and I took pictures of all sorts of stuff down there. And it was just kind of fun to venture around and just take pictures of things. I mean, I really hadn't had any intention of becoming a photographer or anything like that. It was more of documentation of where we lived.
Yeah.
It was one of those fun things being in South Florida, and there's all these great things to see. So that's kind of how I started playing around with cameras. As the years went by, I was, taking more and more images. In one of the careers I had taken on, I was kind of required to document a lot of things with video and photography.
Okay.
But unintentionally trying to do it professionally. So, it was just a natural progression, just kind of, I've done this before. I'm sure I can take some pictures and videos of stuff for you, right? Just wing it. Yeah. And, it wasn't until in later years, about 2015, that I actually, it was about almost 6 years ago now.
Okay.
That, I kind of started thinking, hey, it might be kind of fun to get a camera.
Yeah.
It might be fun to get like a real, proper, exchangeable lens and, go for it that way.
Yeah.
And so I started playing around with it a little bit. Well, that spring, after I'd bought my camera that winter, I started playing around with taking pictures of my dog, George. And actually, I think we have one of them.
Yeah.
This is one of the original pictures that I took. Again, I didn't really have any formal training or anything. I didn't take classes or anything like that. It was just kind of like watch some YouTube videos, figure out how to use the menu functions of the camera and play around with it. But this picture here is kind of what started my career to becoming a professional photographer. And this was just dinking around on my dock. My dog, George, he's the most laid back little English bulldog.
It might not be sharing, but you can keep sharing.
And so anyway, George would, just kind of pace back and forth on the dock, and he drags his paws, and he kind of looks like a little bit of a tiger because he's so wrinkly. He's a very wrinkly bulldog. And this image that I took of him, basically, I had several people say, wow, that is like a really cool image. That's really good. Do you take photos and everything else? I said, well, I don't take photos. I just bought a camera, just kind of play around with it.
Yeah.
And so I entered it in a pet contest, and I actually won the contest. I won the first place prize, and that kind of was what kicked it off. That's kind of where I decided, maybe I can do something with this.
Yeah.
It was very impromptu, and other than that, it was just kind of just for fun.
Yeah,
and it still is. I mean,
absolutely.
I shoot for fun. I do. If photography becomes not fun to me, I will stop that day.
Right.
I will literally just hang my camera up and find something else. Because for me, if you're not passionate about what you do and you love it every day, and you got to love it every day, you really do.
Right. Right.
it can't be a career.
Yeah.
Because you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
And I love what I do. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
But this was a fun photo, and hopefully everybody can see it. I'm not sure if you can see it. We'll have to see on the
let us know
the feed here.
Oh yeah, that's
we could check your feed and
smart.
See if it shows up.
But I love that this is
it's not showing up for us, huh?
Maybe come on.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's not sharing. Oh, no, it is. There we go.
Yeah, it looks. I think it's just behind a bit of what it was. But I love that this was you dinking around. Like, I was sharing with I showed this photo with our new guy, Nathan, today. And I was like, this was the photo that made him decide he wanted to do photography. This was you dinking around with your little camera because it's a fantastic photo.
Thank you.
Like, everything about it is amazing. That's why I'm not surprised at all that you won an award. It's a really great photo. And it helps that you have like the most photogenic little subject.
Oh yeah.
Well.
George is photogenic.
Phenomenal.
And what's really funny, and you can tell the dock is actually crooked. So
yeah,
it wasn't me not leveling off the picture. George is actually, he's upright but the dock is crooked. I'm laying on my stomach there, and it's, most people might try to level that off, but if you do, right. George will literally be walking.
He's way,
he'll look like
he's walking sideways.
He needs V8 juice, right? Like the commercial. His V8 juice is low, so you know. George would tip over if he walked any more sideways. He just drags his knuckles, literally. He's got his worn out paws. But yeah, I mean, and that's what's fun about photography is, you can just have fun with it. It makes you smile. And stuff like this makes you smile. And this was before I got into flash and external lighting and everything. And that was part of the fun. Yeah. That was part of the fun.
That's awesome. So kind of where did you go from here, if you want to keep, I know we have a couple more photos to go through.
So, so again, later that year, I started getting into doing portraits more. I had people want to take pictures, and so I would take pictures with them. And I did a few kind of walk around things that I enjoyed doing, and like kind of going to fairs, things like that, and taking pictures of the people with their fair animals, the kids with their fair animals and stuff. That was really fun. And then I would just, I'd get people's emails and I would just email them the images and things like that. That's awesome. And, I had a lot of fun playing with editing. There was another photo that I took at a car show. And actually, I was with Justin and Mike. And we went to this car show in Muskegon. And this was like my first real street portrait that I took. This guy had such a great story. And when we were walking by, we were there to take pictures of the cars. Yeah. And this guy I just loved his look. I mean, he just looked like an American cowboy, kind of an Americana type looking guy. And he had the greatest story. I was chatting with him a little bit about his car. He had like a 37 Ford and like a 35 Ford, and they were completely restored. They were beautiful. And this was his passion. Awesome. The gentleman was a former vet, and he was in Vietnam, and he actually was on dialysis. And he was, he had some issues going on with his health and things. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to live my life. And just enjoy what I do. And I enjoy these cars. And that's why I'm here. And just a really neat guy. Great story.
That's such a great story with it.
And after I got done chatting with him, I said, hey, do you mind if I take your portrait? Yeah. And I said, and he said, sure. No problem. Go for it. Okay. And he said, you want to take a picture of my mug? He said, he was kind of shocked I wanted to take his portrait. Yeah. But this is what that guy, is. You can see his personality. And this was what really kind of pushed me further with portraits, because I realized like there's so much to people that draws you in. Everybody has a story and everybody's unique. And, you could almost see his story on his face, for him, you could kind of figure him out just by looking at him. He just kind of has a story, And so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's a fantastic photo and such a cool story of just how it was just walking around and decided to just take a portrait. Yeah. And so this was kind of the first time, probably not your first portrait, but first time you're really wanting to go then into portrait photography. Correct. This was the photo that made it. It's what got me excited about it. Okay. Yep. This is what got, I had taken quite a few different other portraits, but nothing really inspired me like this. This is what ignited that spark to really. Yep. That's so cool. That's awesome. Yep. It was pretty cool. Like, that's where I thought, I like taking pictures of people a lot better than cars. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's a really awesome story. That's
so that
really
was
cool.
fun.
Okay.
The natural progression with that is lighting. You know,
Yeah.
the more I would take images without external lights, you know, and flash and constant lighting and all that, the more I started to learn the limitations of natural light. And so, like most photographers, I started out with natural light, didn't have any external equipment.
Right.
But I learned there's some extreme limitations with it.
Yeah.
You know, in different environments at different times of the day. And, you know, I said, you know what, I want to learn how to actually do some external lighting and add some external flash and some things like that, some off-camera flash.
Yeah.
And so I watched some videos on how people did it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, so I kind of figured out what equipment I wanted, and I started with speed lights on soft boxes.
Okay.
And so I bought some of those, and then a real close family friend of mine, she owns basically like this horse ranch, you know, horse farm thing.
Okay.
And I said, hey, do you mind if I come over and take some portraits of you and the horses?
Yeah.
You know, I want to play around with some lighting. And she is just the biggest sweetheart. And she said, absolutely, Kenny, absolutely. Of course, anytime. And so this was my first day playing around with the external lighting and also kind of learning how to be able to pump the image in Lightroom, you know, with the lighting that you enhanced it with, and how much it actually brought out, you know, the details, because you didn't get the noise in the image.
Right.
You know, you don't have all that graininess that the natural light can leave in the dark shadows.
Right.
Because this external lighting, this off-camera flash, is brightening it up. You know, it really allowed me to play around with the photos. So this was probably my favorite one of the entire night. She's got these beautiful horses, and you know, it was just super cool because that was just such a natural moment that took place, you know? And, you know, you could see her love for the horses and the horse's love for her. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, look at this other horse, Buck, in the back here. He is so jealous right now of Nautica getting the attention. And I just thought that was so
I love
cool
that he came out to like poke his head around. It makes the image, and it tells such a great story. And I love that it really shows like the flash. And even for like a first time using flash, I think it's a fantastic photo, because there are a lot of different sources of lights from outside and these lights above. Yeah. But you were able to just make her pop so well. Yeah. And I think that's what flash does so well, because without flash, it would feel very flat. Like she'd be in that photo, but your eyes wouldn't be drawn to her and drawn to that horse in the same way. That's why I think flash can be so powerful, and I think it's a great photo.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think
it's such a cool story. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, so then what's your biggest inspiration now, I would say, from, I would ask from kind of hearing a little bit about like how you started, now how you're going to kind of the natural progression of this photo now to what you do full-time as a career. Yep. Kind of where do you find your inspiration now?
So now it's basically with people. I still stick primarily with portraits. I do some other different commercial photography stuff that, you know, I get involved in, but, you know, passion wise, it's still portraits, it's still people. And the reason is because I just like working with people, you know. I like learning people's stories. You know, I like to spend time with people, and it's what I love, you know. I mean, I would still say to this day, senior portraits is probably still one of my favorite things to do. Okay. It really, I mean, it's incredibly time consuming for the amount of time I put into it, versus what I charge for it. Right. You know, I put way more hours in than it actually is worth in all reality. I mean, I should charge far more than I do the amount of time I put into it. Right. But I love it that much. You know what I mean? I just love the seniors. I love their attitudes. I love how you know, fun spirited they are. They're excited about life. They're pumped. It's their senior year. They want to look great. I want to make them look great. I want them to be proud of their images, you know, and that's something I put a lot of effort into. I've been featured in Inspiring Teen magazine. Oh yeah. I just got one of the recent issues now, issue 37. I just had another teen in that. That's so that was kind of cool. Yeah. You know, and you know, I do a lot of different things with Senior Year magazine. I do some of the stuff in there. I get some of the stuff in there. And, but you know, it's just kind of a fun passion. And that's what keeps me excited about photography is just when you see somebody smile looking at the back of your camera, that genuine smile, when you show them that picture of what you just took and you let them know that, look, this is just right now. This is like what I always refer to as the cake batter from a chef, right? It's not the cake. So I mean, we like it what we got right here,
Uh-huh.
but it's going to be better.
It's going to be even better.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not cooked and it doesn't have
Yep.
the frosting.
Yep.
And my favorite part's the frosting.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we got to wait and get the frosting on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So yeah, I guess I can move into kind of sharing how I got started. Kind of similar ways. Kind of always dinked around with just whatever I had. I remember starting taking photo. I really liked like stop motion photos and videos. So I remember like I loved Legos growing up. So I loved like the little Lego stop motions like I'd watch on YouTube. And so then I would make my own. And
Cool.
I started with like I remember my cousin and I one time during Christmas, we got like his DS that had like a camera or something in it. We made an entire Lego stop motion on like a DS camera, which, you know, who knows what camera that was. But we just loved that idea of being able to capture something and then being able to turn it into like this whole like video thing and able to like make our creations move. So we really enjoyed that, and then like kind of went on to like an iPod and taking photos with an iPod, just kind of whatever I had. And then eventually my mom got a camera and we started doing my mom and I started doing portrait shoots. So that's how I mainly got started using like a DSLR, was right away doing portrait shoots, doing like families and like seniors mostly.
Oh, nice.
And it was all natural light. It was all, you know, very basic, very entry level, but it's what kind of first gave me my kind of first shot at photography. And we did that for a bit. I really enjoyed it. It was really good to learn about how like first thinking what you capture is exactly what you get, and then realizing you can process photos and you can bring up brightness and contrast, and you know, it's all those little things. The more when you first learn about something, you overuse it. So when I first learned about contrast, that contrast bar was all the way up and it should not have been. Just like when you learn about saturation, it was let's bump the saturation.
Oh yeah, pump it to the max.
Yeah, and you know they'll look terrible. But when you first learn about those things, you're like, I was so excited to use all of those things.
Yep.
So I remember getting Lightroom Mobile on my phone and being like, I can edit these photos now, and like, you know, editing them terribly, but I thought they were amazing and I loved them. So like kind of paid shoots were like how I first got into it.
Was your mom a photographer or?
Yeah.
So your mom was a photographer.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of started as like being her assistant,
nice.
And then starting to like take some photos while she was on as well, learning different ways of getting closer and farther. And one of the first I can show the first photo actually that helps kind of explain it well. Let's do that, and then if we can get to the photos, I believe that was the right one. Maybe. So this was a photo that I took in middle school, and this was the first time that it wasn't one of those like you're shooting the photo waist high like you would with like an iPhone. Like it was the first time I realized you could do way more with the camera than just stand and take a photo.
Right.
And I think we must have like seen this as an example somewhere, and I was like, I want to recreate that because I think that's a cool. Is for an engagement. The ring is totally not even in focus, but you know,
but it's actually a really great portrait. I mean, right here. I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, yeah, thank you did a heck of a job. I mean, for being in middle school, and you know, just to have that focus on the leaf and the hands is beautiful. You know, I mean, it's just a really, really beautiful portrait. So, yeah, I appreciate there's your talent shining right out of the gate, you know?
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I did that, you know, we did that for a little bit. And then I actually, like you were saying, if it ever became not fun, you'd hang it up.
Yep.
And then it did come to that point where I was like, this feels more like a job than a passion. Yep. And so I ended up hanging up the camera for a bit. Didn't do really any shoots, anything like that. And then it was probably for, I don't know, a couple of years. And then like really like junior year of high school again was when I started to get back into it again, just through kind of biggest inspiration was other photographers, people that I found on YouTube that were doing lots of tutorials, because almost everything I've learned has been like from YouTube. Of
it's a great resource.
How to use a camera, how to shoot different things. And it started with there was a video by a guy named Peter McKinnon who's a big photographer on YouTube, does a lot of video stuff as well. It was like mobile photography tips or something. And it was like this, I remember this being this amazing shot of this like strawberry sitting on like a little log with like powdered sugar on it. I thought it was great. And it was literally, he put it like right by his kitchen window. He put a baking sheet for the background, the log, that, and he took it on his phone. And that's when he showed like Lightroom Mobile and how to edit it and all of that. And I was like, you can do that with your phone? Like, so you can do even more than that with a camera again? So like, it reignited that fire for photography and for that passion. So I spent the next couple of years just getting into it, wanting to make sure that it really was my passion before I got back into doing anything paid. And then now in the last year or so, I've started doing more, kind of turning it back into a business, which I've really enjoyed. I've done a lot of proposals, which have become like my favorite thing. Because it's such a candid moment, and it's such a special moment, and to be able to be a part of like capturing that, be able to see it, like that moment that you see that you see the girl's face realize what's happening is like my favorite, and my favorite to capture, when like she realizes, when, because you know they
or
always,
the guy's face when she actually says yes and she's surprised.
Yeah, that,
like you didn't know, which is fun though.
Right. Because you have that, you have the good reaction when he's on one knee, sees the ring, and she's crying and all that. But that very first reaction where she realizes this is more than just like a date is like my favorite thing. And that's like, that's jumping the gun of, but that's one of like where I find the most joy in the work right now as well. And have started doing couples and engagement shoots and stuff. And I really enjoy those. I think it's really fun to do just a young couple that shares that love, that's really energetic, like really excited to get their photos taken for maybe like the first time as like an engaged couple, has been a blast and been really fun to see. I thought,
one that I saw the other day that you had, shot was your steel wool shot. That was probably one of the best steel wool shots I've ever seen. I mean, honestly, I mean, after I saw it, I was pretty like mind blown. Later, I was thinking about it. I was like, the symmetry in his steel wool shot is probably one of the best I've ever seen.
Appreciate that.
We got to show
that. I got to find it.
Yeah, we got to show the steel wool. Do you have it on here? Because we got to.
I do not have it on here.
Oh, come on.
We'll find it at the end. We'll do it. We'll do it as a last little thing at the end, because I think that that was a special one. I want to share the story behind that, because that's one of my favorite photos right now that I've taken recently. But next up, I kind of jumped the gun of where I am today as a photographer. But we have this photo.
This is a beautiful portrait.
So this was a photo that I took, I think maybe April of this year, March of this year, when there was the first like COVID shutdowns. Hadn't taken photos in a while because everything was shut down. Before that, I was doing a lot of portraits. I was used to going out with people. I hadn't really gone out by myself before. And I hadn't really done a lot of landscape before. I was like, you know what? I want to get out of the house. I know there's the train tracks with this great bridge in Grand Haven that I've shot before with people. I was like, I'll just go and see what happens. And this was a great example of, like, I took the photos, I looked in camera, I didn't like them at all. I thought they were not going to turn out good. And I played around with the editing, played around with kind of making it really moody, because I wanted to fit that kind of that grit. Yeah. And it ended up turning out with something I was really happy with. This was actually the first photo that I sold a print of, which was really fun to get into selling prints. Printing your work. If you guys don't print your work, start printing your work. Yeah. Like, seeing
it changes.
It's so different.
Yeah.
You can see it on your phone, you can see it on a screen, you can see whatever, but seeing it as a piece of paper, seeing it in a frame, seeing it up, seeing it as a medal is amazing. Like, it's such a cool, different feeling of just printing your work. You don't, even if you're printing it, giving it to people, hanging it up in your house or selling them, whatever, start printing your work.
Well, it's a physical creation. Like, you actually get to tangibly feel the creation that you made, which is really cool. Yeah. And this one is absolutely beautiful. The leading lines in it are incredible. And I actually love how that bridge is sideways. Obviously, more towards the, the winter time, they'll lock it open. But I mean, I just love that how those leading lines just bring you to almost like a dead end, but not really because you can see through it.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's a fun, image.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then last one I have is this one. So this one's a little different, has a little different story to it. This was the first photo that I had that was like shared by another big photographer on social media. And this was also the first time that I really did more with editing than just kind of doing very basic stuff. Before that, I'd only ever really done basic stuff. I'd maybe change the brightness, the contrast a little more. I didn't mess with the S-curves. I didn't mess with the colors all that much, besides maybe, doing the saturation too much like we talked about before. But this was the first time that I really played around. I was like, okay, what else? How can I change this to something? So my friends and I went to this abandoned park in this abandoned sand factory, I think in Grand Haven. And it was snowing, but the camera did not capture the snow because it wasn't enough snow. It wasn't big enough snow. And I was like, I want this to be snowing. I want this to feel like I was definitely this one and the railroad were taken, I don't know, a couple weeks apart. So I was definitely on this like kind of like moody feeling with the photos. And so I played around with adding some snow to it, changing the colors up a bit, making him really look cold and really look like he was freezing, really. Like I desaturated his face a ton because I wanted him to just look like he was cold. He was out there trying to just survive with the masks on, which we totally didn't need, but we did for previous trips. So we wanted to be cautious. And it ended up being shared by, I posted it, and then it was just shared by a big Instagram landscape photographer, just kind of out of the blue. And I was like, whoa,
that's pretty cool.
This is crazy. Yeah.
You should send it to the company for the mask.
Yeah.
3M.
That's a good idea.
They might love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're on their Home Depot advertising. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't get it if you don't ask. Remember that in
That's
life.
true. Yeah, exactly.
Photography, if you want to have success in photography, the best advice I can give to people is you have to go out and ask.
Yeah.
If you expect somebody just to see your work and put you on their, payroll, if you will, good luck. Yeah. It's not happening.
No.
You'll be sitting at home with that same wish year after year after year, talking about how you're going to do it and how it's going to happen. The day that you pick up the phone and start making phone calls and pursuing those shoots that you want to, be involved in, if you want to be a professional photographer, is the day you start having success.
I agree with that. I think that's big. And that doesn't mean that every phone call you call is going to be a yes.
Yeah,
You're
that's
going
right.
to have way more no's than yeses.
Absolutely.
But all you need is that one yes to get started.
Absolutely.
And as long as you have, especially once you have a little bit of something, then it's a lot easier to get the next one and the next one and the next one. But
so true.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You just have to go out there because it's not going to come to you.
Nope.
There's so many photographers, especially in our area. It's oversaturated.
Well, there's more photographers than I think any other profession in the United States.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And that's because everybody can have a career but still be a photographer.
Right.
Does that make sense? So it's not just people that do it solely as a profession. It's everybody has a camera, is a photographer.
Right.
Right. I mean,
and now with phone cameras getting so good to the point where you could take a photo with your phone and get it printed a pretty good size.
Yep.
Even then it's pushed it even that farther I completely agree with you. Anybody can really be a photographer.
Yep.
At this point. So it's doing those things that will set you apart in your career and going out and getting it. I totally agree.
But you got to be passionate about it. You got to go after what you love to do. Like that's where you're going to have your success. If people feel that, like they feel that from you if you're not really 100% in on what you're photographing, or what you're doing with photography. They can tell if you're dabbling in it or whether you're really committed to it or whether you're passionate about it. And that's the key component.
Yeah.
And, getting the right advice and getting the key equipment for what you want to do is critical also. And that's like, again, we're here at the camera shop. That's exactly like why you would come to a place like the camera shop.
Right.
Because you need to go to a trustworthy source that will steer you in the right equipment to do what you want to do. That's why 9 times out of 10, if you don't have a game plan, you guys are asking them, well, what do you like to shoot? Kind of the first question.
Exactly.
What do you like to shoot? Tell me about that. Because there's no sense in you buying, $5,000 worth of soft boxes and speed lights if you shoot landscape photography.
Right.
What would you need that for? Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, and that's the key, is the right guidance and the right advice.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all about taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. And if you sit back and just hold back, it's pretty tough to have that success. Yeah. You know, you got to go get it yourself. I hope you find that picture here of the sparks flying off.
Yeah, the steel wool.
There we go. Yeah, you gotta get that one pulled up. That's just phenomenal.
Kind of pre-edited one. I ended up messing around with it a little more, but this one will totally work just fine.
Let's see if it'll pull up here.
Quick share screen, and we'll just do entire screen.
And this is a great expertise you have, Jonathan, because me with a PC, I can't do it. I'm an Apple Mac guy, you know. I'd be lost right now.
Yeah, and I'll wait a second to make sure that this is going to actually show up for us on the live stream to make sure you guys can see it. Okay, it looks like you guys will be able to see it. So yeah, this was actually a recent shoot. Yep. This is kind of what I'd classify as like a bucket shot. I don't know if you have like a bucket list of like photos you want to get. But I know a lot of photographers have like this bucket
list.
Yeah.
You've got projects you want to do.
Yes. These are the different photos I want to take. And, you know, that spans multiple countries. And I have a very long bucket list. But
well, good. And you should.
So, yeah, exactly. And I think that helps. That also is a really great way to give inspiration. Because if you're struggling, if you're like, I don't know what to shoot, go back to that make a bucket list of all the different kinds of photography you want to try out is a great start.
Absolutely.
Like, listen, I only do portraits, but I want to try out landscape, or I want to try out car photography, because car photography, go take photos of your car. Landscape, go anywhere, especially in West Michigan.
Absolutely.
Go to the lighthouse. Like, go to the multiple lighthouses we have right here.
And bump shoulders with the photographers that are really good at it.
Yeah.
You know, there's some pretty
because you're gonna meet
photographers in West Michigan.
You're going to meet photographers just going to the Grand Haven Pier. They're always up on that little hill, their tripods, taking photos almost every night.
Well, Robert Shipman and Walter Elliott, I'll tell you what, those two guys absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
With the pier images.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm always blown away.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always like, you know, you think you've got every angle of the pier, every look, right? And then these guys just somehow, it's like they have a magic pier wand.
Yeah.
And they whip it out and they extend it. And then they take the picture, and it's like, I don't even remember that day. But that is incredible.
But
those guys, but they're absolute professionals in what they do. Yeah.
So make that list of the different kinds of photography you want to try out, because even if you're doing it as a career, and sometimes you might maybe have a week that is slow, maybe you don't have anybody, then spend that week, go have fun with your camera, get back out there, like reignite that fire, trying different things. So this was kind of one of those things for me.
It's incredible. Look at the symmetry in the sparks. So normally you get those kind of like flare sparks when you do this. You know, you get those random ones that just kind of, you know, they're not consistent. Like that one.
So this was the first attempt. So steel wool photography was something. First time I saw it, I was like, I want to try this at some point.
Looking.
It's so fun. But I could, for the most part, never convince my friends to do it, because you're whipping around. Yeah, you're whipping around a flaming ball of steel wool. And to explain kind of the basics of how you do it, I just got a metal whisk, got the 0000 grit, so like the super fine steel wool. You shove a ton of it in. You like break it apart, shove it in there. You light in as many places as possible, and then you just whip it around your head. And then like you can see the settings here of what I used. I did F8 to try to capture as much as I could, a 10-second exposure. So the long exposure is the key here, because that's what captures those sparks. Because what these photos look like are nothing what you see in person. You see all the physical sparks flying everywhere. So that 10 seconds it'll capture all of the sparks within 10 seconds. That also is what makes it that you can do this in the middle of the night and it'll still be bright and it'll still light up.
And it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the way you capture that, because you still got him in the image and the person's not going to be in perfect focus.
Right.
People need to understand
they'll be a little blurry.
Yeah, they're going to be a little bit blurry. You know, they got to do a good job trying to stay still, but this is a pretty phenomenal photo. And it's kind of like Yogi Bear says, you know, only you can prevent flares. So don't be doing this out at, the middle of Duncan's woods or something, and sparking up the forest. I mean, obviously you do this in a responsible way. Yep.
Absolutely.
Concrete area.
Absolutely.
Concrete.
Yes.
Not grass.
Concrete everywhere, because they go far. So
they
concrete
do.
Everywhere, somewhere that you're actually allowed to do it. So don't do it in a place that you can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, with this one, I ended up actually darkening him in the second version of this a little bit, just to focus more on the symmetry here, because guys, steel wool really is a lot of trial and error. So this one, I feel like I got very lucky. This was my second one that I did.
It's incredible.
And I went from this one to the second one.
Yep. And that first one you just showed, that is that's a common steel wool style image. I mean, you get a lot of those. I see these all the time. I see steel wool images, they pop up on my, Instagram feed, and, they look great. I mean, they still look phenomenal. They're really cool. Yeah. But like the symmetry you captured in yours is just sweet. I mean, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Sweet. And yeah, the biggest key was because those ones, the sparks are hitting below the camera. They're hitting in front of the camera. So the biggest key I realized when doing this is get your camera way closer than you think it is. It might get hit with sparks. It probably will get hit with sparks. So if you care about that, get glass or cover it in something.
Well, you guys sell those ProMaster lens, the clear lens filter covers.
Yep.
It might be a good idea to put one of those on there.
So I had a clear.
Save your lens.
Yes, I had a clear filter. So then if a spark hit the glass, nothing would happen.
Yep.
We also have I think ProMaster and Peak Design have the little sleeves that you can put all around your camera to protect it. Sure. I didn't have that, so I just stuck gloves and wrapped a coat around it.
Hey, makeshift.
Did what I could.
Adapt and improvise, overcome.
Use what you have. Yeah. Use the gear you have. So we did that, wrapped it around, put it really close. And my friend's name is Eli here. And I was like, all right, Eli, hold it up, but you're not going to do it straight. You're going to do it kind of tilted back a little bit. So try to wave it a little tilted back if you can. So I was like, just do what you're doing, but lean back. And he did that, and it ended up working beautifully. And
I see what Eli's getting for Christmas. You're gonna give him a Christmas print, right? I mean,
that's the goal, actually.
That'd be a nice print for Eli. He had to risk life and limb with a flame ball.
We definitely, a couple of us definitely came out of that with a little bit of some burns and some. I don't remember what we were using, but it was ripping up our hands a little bit as well. But that's just part of part of the craft, part of doing those things. Just a little bit in that way. But yeah, so that's kind of one of my favorite current photos as well. And that helped kind of push. I mean, I did that the day before I had an engagement. Or not an engagement, not yet. They're not engaged yet. Just a couple shoot. And I was kind of I was a little nervous about it. Wasn't really sure. It was my first paid gig in kind of a while. Nice. And I also hadn't shot at all that semester. I was doing some event photography for some worship nights we were doing, but I hadn't taken any photos. I was like, I need to do something because I need to get back in the groove. I need to do something. And I was like, what better way than crossing off one of those bucket shots, doing something new. And I tried something new. And I mean, I think those couple of photos came out way better than, who's to tell if they wouldn't have came out great, but I think they came out really great because I went out the night before, really got with it, did something fresh, did something new, So yeah. Other than that, I think we have one more photo of yours, I believe, if you want to share.
Oh, from back in the beginning. One. Yeah. Some of our beginnings. Yeah. The PBR photo, I think. One. Yeah.
Let's make sure we're on this one. Yes.
All right.
Maybe if it'll load. Yeah. So this is our last photo. This is a phenomenal photo. Tell us about this one.
Thanks. So this was after I bought my first Sigma Prime.
Okay.
I bought a 50 millimeter.
Okay.
And I was pumped.
Yeah.
I was pumped because that thing was sweet and, had really clear glass and, it was better than the kit lenses that it came with my camera. And all that. It was just really sweet. And, I was really excited about it. And I had got an opportunity to go shoot at the PBR and, got to get down in the media press photographer area, which was really cool. So, it was kind of my first opportunity to kind of do some stuff to do commercial work and kind of promote it. And, it's just kind of who you know and who you ask. Again, you know, you're probably thinking, well, how did you get to do that? I mean, you'd been kind of shooting kind of quote unquote semi-professionally for maybe a year at this point, maybe. You got to ask, right? If you make some phone calls, you say, hey, I'm a local photographer in the area. I'd love to take some photos. I'll give you some images, You work it out. Next thing you know, you're at the PBR down front and center, and you got bulls snotting on your lens. I mean, it's amazing, you know? But again, I get out and I ask, you know? And a lot of people think, you know, how do you get so accelerated so quickly with photography? Anybody who knows me knows one thing. I don't let grass grow under my feet. I am not that human being. I never have been. I've owned several businesses over the years. It's what I do. I do. I like to do. I don't like to sit still. I don't wait for people to do things for me. I do them myself. I get it done. I don't wait for somebody to call me. I pick up the phone. I call you. That's how I do things. And so this was super exciting for me to go capture this. And, you know, this guy was the current world champion. So it was just kind of a cool shot. The bull had come my way, which was perfect. Because sometimes if they go the other way, then you get, you know, kind of a distant shot. And it was a 50 millimeter prime. So I couldn't zoom. So I was kind of relying on those closer shots, you know.
Can't really move closer to the bull.
And, you know, but it was a fun time. And I was really grateful for it. And it was a fun shot. So had a lot of different ones that night that I enjoyed. But
I think that's such a great story and just such good character of the bull sticking out his tongue. And, like,
just tossing people too. I mean, those guys are seriously crazy. I mean, they're built like tanks. I mean, anybody that gets on one of those, you're a tank, because I don't care how big or small you are. You got on a bull that weighs 2,000 pounds. And it wants to kill you literally because you're on its back. You're pretty much a tank.
It takes a very special kind of person to be able to bull ride.
I'll tip my hat to you.
And absolutely. I love this photo. I think it's great, especially for like your first time. It's a great sentiment of just go out and get it. Like if you want to excel in, if you want to excel in your career, you got to you got to go out and get it. I'm trying to get us back to.
And the Tribune ended up sharing all those images too, which was really cool from that shot too, because I'd contacted them and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So if you guys have any questions for us, I'm looking through the comments right now to see if you do, but if you have any quick questions, put them in. We can hang out for a couple more minutes here. You
could read back through some of these ones here. I think Brad had mentioned a few things here. So he started with Brad Walker's on here. Started with a Samsung S6 and took photos of disc golf scenery. Oh for sure. Things you love to do. And I know you're a fan, fantastic disc golf player. So that makes sense. I mean, you know, that's your hobby and passion. And then you naturally progressed by taking pictures of that because you enjoyed it. You want to capture the moment. And then that led you to probably getting into your photography, you know?
Yeah, it looks like now down here, you had some opportunities, doing a shoot for a couple, shooting a baby shower is a great thing. Like,
fun moment. That's a fun moment.
That's that's a
lots
great
of
moment.
Smiles and laughs, you know? And that's cool.
That's a good opportunity too, of even if you're invited somewhere, just be like, hey, would you like me to bring my camera? I can take photos of the event for you. So it's memorable. And they might not even have thought about that. And you take the photo, and even if maybe you don't get paid for that one, or they might be like, these are amazing, can we pay you? Then you can take a little bit, but then that just gets your name out there even more, because photography spreads like a wildfire through word of mouth.
It does.
Especially.
It does. And doing what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. If I could write down the stories and the amount of times that I've worked with clients and who came across me just because they simply bagged the old photographer. They're like, undependable. Doesn't show up on time. Doesn't process my images quick enough and get the turnaround time. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with that I've become, their go-to because of dependability. So again, photography and getting started in photography is a mission. It's a game plan, and you gotta stick to that. You can't get lazy, and you can't just sit back on cruise control. You gotta always be on the throttle. You really do.
I agree with that, and I think it's even important. One of the, you've already taught me since I've been here. Don't undersell yourself. Like, charge more than you think. Like, because everybody normally is going to charge less than they're actually worth.
Absolutely.
Most people, we're always our hardest critics. So we always think, no, I can't charge that much. Who would pay for that? Charge what you're worth, because people are willing to pay for your quality photos. And also, I think even for amateur photographers, I think this is really important, is just like you were talking about with being dependable, is having a contract, laying out exactly what they're getting, saying we're going to do the shoot for an hour. This is how many locations it's going to be at. This is how many photos you should expect. So say 15 to 20 photos and then give them 30.
Yep.
Always, I say always, what is it? Under promise and over deliver.
Yep.
So, don't say, I'm going to give you 3 photos. Like, say a reasonable number, say a little under than what you'll actually give them.
Yeah.
And so they can expect, okay, we'll expect this. This is this. Say from the moment the shoot is done, you should expect your photos edited to you in this way, however you're going to do it in this many hours or days or whatever. And then stick to that, because you can't say, I'll have your photos in 2 days, and then 3 days later be like, hey, I'm still working on your photos.
Absolutely.
Like, dependability and coming through on your promises is big. And I think it's really important to lay all of that stuff out, because at the very worst, it protects you as a photographer and as a business owner as well, because you're laying out, you're having them sign, you're signing a contract of exactly what they're paying for, exactly what they're going to get. So then they couldn't be like, oh, you promised me 2 hours or 150 photos from this. And you're like, no, I'm sorry. The contract says this and this and this. I think that's super important, because again, it gives people, it shows people what they're going to get. So it lets them know exactly where your value is coming from. And I think that's huge.
Well, and charge your worth. I mean, like literally, there is a lot of expenses in your photography equipment.
Absolutely.
Your time for your expertise. How many miles did you put on your vehicle just learning how to do your trade? How many times did you fill up your gas tank? How many times did you have to go eat dinners out? How many times did you have to, buy different equipment because the equipment you had just didn't work out and you had to get different stuff? And, there's all these things that this all adds up. This is where you learned your craft. This is where you became the expert in your trade there. If you don't charge for that time and that value, then why are you doing it?
Right.
I see so many people who say, I want to become a professional photographer. I want to do this full time. I want to make a living at this. My senior portraits are $75. Oh, no. This month they're going to be $125. Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's going to cover the costs?
Right.
That's not going to cover anything. You're good. Okay. You do 10 senior portraits. Okay. You spend how many hours editing and taking the shoots and all that. Okay. And you made $1,250.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Now you take your taxes out of that at 30%. Okay. Now take everything else out, and you just spent about 80, 90 hours on something that you made $600.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not going to lead to full time. And so people, one thing I always talk about, and I preach this all the time, people do competitive pricing to try to win photography over other people. Right. And I can tell you what, I love it. I love it. It takes my competition away because when people do that, they're not in it very long. Right. They come and go. Just in the last 5 years, almost 6 years now that I've been kind of getting involved in it and doing it, full time and all that. Right. I've seen so many people come and go. Yeah. They start this month, 9 months later, they're out of it and selling their equipment. And it's because they tried to play the price competitive game, not the self-worth game. Right. If you're worth it, if you have good quality, people are less worried about the price because they're not paying you for the price. They're paying you for the quality of the image. Exactly. They want those prints for something. There's a reason they hired you. Because they couldn't pick up their phone and take as good a quality of an image. And that is the difference. Absolutely. If you're just, taking cell phone quality images, you're not gonna make it. Yeah. But when you get this professional grade camera equipment and you whip this thing out and you start taking rock star photos, hindsight's 2020. They'd look at you and go, you know what? I'd have paid you triple. Right. Exactly. Because I absolutely love this. You know what I mean? I love this. Yeah. Price doesn't matter as much as the quality. Absolutely. And people always forget that in life. At the end of the day, flip the book. How many of you go out there and literally price is all that matters to you? Like no matter what, nope, just the lowest price. That's all I want. I want the lowest price, whatever it is. I won't take the new iPhone because I just want the lowest price. Give me a flip phone. Right. Like, really?
Right.
Because I'd almost bet that 99% of people out there want the most value
Yes.
for their money.
Absolutely.
The most value for their money, not the lowest price
Right.
of their money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And your photography translates the exact same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. And I think that's really good to, again, show people and explain to people what your value is so they can understand that. Because some people do. Some people are like, how do you charge that much for taking photos for an hour? Because they don't necessarily understand this is everything else that goes in it. This is how much the gear costs. Your gear costs that much. Yes, it's professional gear. So it does all this. And because some people really, they look at a price tag and they're like, that's crazy. But if you can back up your quality and if you can help them to understand, and that's why I think doing that kind of contract is big, it helps them understand this is the value they're getting. Yep. And a lot of times this is why they're getting really more value, because I think a lot of us still do kind of undercharge for what we do. Just like you're saying with seniors, that you undercharge a lot because you really enjoy them. So I think it helps showing people that value and showing how excited you are. And like, be professional, but you don't have to be like super professional about it. Show people that you're excited to take their photos
and show them your work.
Yeah. Show them
your work should speak volumes.
Absolutely.
Not your price.
Right. Absolutely.
If they're excited about your work, the price doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't.
So we've had some good, great questions. Trish asked 2 really good questions. Said, do you ever do free work to build your portfolio in the beginning? And I think you can, to an extent. I would first say, and I'll let you speak on this as well, but I'd first say, first, don't let people take advantage of you. Don't let people say, oh, can you take photos for me? Oh, it can be, oh, no, we'll just do it for free. It can be for your portfolio. If someone's doing that, honestly, I would never take their photos.
Correct.
I start with people who are going to value you first.
Yes.
And be like, you know what? I haven't tried this kind of photography before. Just like you were like, you came to your friend and was like, hey, I want to try using flashes. Can I come over and take your photos?
Yeah.
And even though those are fantastic photos that she maybe printed or you printed or could very easily print, if you did that for free, and I don't know if you charged, but
nope, it was for free.
Exactly. Yeah. If you did that for free, that helped your portfolio, that helped you, and that also helped her, and that gave her value. So things that are mutually giving you value, I think, are really important. And to some extent, to begin to get enough experience, I think you do have to do some stuff for free. It's the hardest thing. And I can speak on this personally because it's something I'm recently had to transition out of, was doing free stuff as opposed to paid stuff, especially with people who are your friends, your family, stuff like that. People that are in my hall that I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take your photos. I'd love to do them, or let's just go out and shoot photos. And it can be difficult to transition over to, okay, now I have to charge you for these because I feel I'm at the point where I have to be making something like my time is worth it enough that I have to get something out of it other than just my portfolio. Your portfolio can eventually get to the point where it's too big and you got to start charging for it.
Yep.
So yeah, your thoughts on?
Well, the way I would answer that, Trish, yes, in the beginning, you're going to do some free stuff to do get your portfolio right. You know, it's kind of like when I started with my, off-camera flash and all that. You know, I had offered up a shoot to my friends. So I offer it. So the way I do this is I don't, kind of like Jonathan said, I never would take people that were interested in my services because if they were coming to me for my services, then they were paying customers. Yeah. So I would get a concept in my head. And I would go and I would approach that specific person. Like I wanted to do her horses and her kind of interacting with them, kind of like almost like a lifestyle shoot. And the thing that was really important for me was, I wanted to have that time to play around. So I took advantage of that time to be able to, play with the equipment, make changes and all that. Once I understood my equipment very well, and I knew how to change settings on the fly, and I knew exactly what I needed to do, that's when the freeze stops. Yeah. Instantly. So if you know how to work your equipment, so here's kind of the telltale, right? This is probably what you're looking for. If you know how to work your equipment without fumbling, you know all your settings and how to change your settings according to changing light, meaning you go from a shaded area on a location to a bright lit area. You can adapt to that without having to look something up or fumble around for 15 minutes to try to get the right setting. If you can do all that within a matter of less than a minute and keep going on the fly, you're ready. then I would start charging. Now, there are times where I still to this day will offer a free concept shoot. But again, I'm looking to do something very specific that I just want to do for fun. It's more like me just still having fun and smiling like a little kid, and just playing. And I'll, hire models or do things like that where I'll actually pay out of pocket for models and things like that to work with, because I like the look of a specific model. And then I have a specific concept of a shoot that I want to do. And then we make the shoot happen. Yeah. But I don't, there's no way in the world that somebody could just come to me and just be like, let's do this shoot together and this will build your portfolio. And my favorite thing is, and this is like one of those things that you got to kind of, as a photographer, be always listening for this, right? Is promotion. There's all these people that are they're gonna promote you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. They're gonna give you so much promotion if you just do this shoot with them. Yeah. Okay. The recommendations are going to be through the roof. They don't really want to pay you, but boy, they are going to promote you. And let me tell you, you go down to the store and try to buy your favorite item with recommendations and promotions. It never happens. People don't do that. It's such a joke.
Go to Meijer, try to buy a rotisserie chicken, and at checkout, be like, hey, I'll put this on my Instagram story if you let me have it.
Not happening. No. Not happening. John says, how do you determine what your time is worth? That's a great question. Well, it works like this. I've often thought of putting something out there because it's one of those things where when you're getting into photography, you don't really understand what the value is that you should put on your work. And I understand that. Right. Like, okay, so you hear me saying that don't charge $125 for a senior shoot. Right. What should it be at? Well, minimum 300, minimum. Like there are certain shoots that are just minimum. They should be at this number. Yeah. Okay. Period. You've got people who are amateur photographers who are price quoting based on competition, not worth. And that's a huge issue because if you're trying to get into it as a professional, you're not going to survive on those low numbers. If you do the math, you'd have to do 4 million shoots in a year to make $1. It's unbelievable. But, that's why those people continue to have a day job and they continue to hobby shoot, I call it, on the side, because you're not going to ever have it as a full-time career if you don't charge your worth. You just will never do it. It'll never happen. Show me one person who can do it like that. They don't exist. I don't know anybody who can charge way less than the market standard. And so there's a certain standard for all shoots that are basically just, they're not written in stone, but they are definitely, like minimums that people should be charging, know? I mean, my favorite thing is when people want to do mini sessions. Okay. We're doing a $50 mini session. We're doing a $75 mini session. Right. Okay. Congratulations. So you're going to lock up your life for 50 to $75. Right. And all your time and expertise is only worth that. You shouldn't do a shoot for less than, if you're doing a family shoot, it shouldn't be less than 225. Yeah. I mean, legitimately. I mean, that's a very fair price for a shoot. Absolutely. That's a very fair price. But I see it all the time. Mini session. I see it on Facebook. Mini session, $50. Meet me at the park. I'm going to do a cookie cutter and just funnel people through at $50, $50, $75, $75. And then do what? Like either A, make no money, or B, go back to your day job on Monday after the weekend's over, because you're not going to have it as a full-time career playing the price game. Yeah. You can't do it. You can't do it. And so one thing I've learned, through becoming a full-time professional photographer is you have to understand your self-worth and you better do it quick. Right. Because otherwise you're going to push yourself out of the career. Because when you start hearing people say that they're going to give you promotions and, they're going to give you recommendations and all that good stuff, it's like, no, move along. Yeah. You got to get the next person, especially if you know how to work your equipment and do right.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Trish had a great answer to it as well. She said, I offer free when I'm experimenting with new skills like we talked about. And I've also done them free as a gift, which I think can be a great idea for friends, and the bonus of portfolio building.
Absolutely.
I think that's absolutely great.
Yeah, you're right on track with that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
So a question that I think kind of fits into this, that I kind of want to share my perspective of first and then hear what you have is, if someone approaches you about a job, maybe it's an event or something you just don't really want to do, maybe it's just an event that's 4 hours long and just doesn't really sound fun. It doesn't excite you, because I think jobs should excite you. I think the photos you're taking should excite you.
Yep.
I've kind of been taught, and what I've learned is a great way to go about it would be charge more than you normally would. Don't necessarily say no, but charge more than you normally would, because if they accept it, then great, you get a job for more than you normally would. And then if they say no, it kind of puts more of a premium on you, because they're like, okay, this guy's the real deal. He's charging this much, because normally people equate to quality to price. Just in their heads, normally they think even it's not always the case, but the more expensive it is, the better it is. And then you're not saying no to potential clients at all. So you're never known as someone who is picky with their jobs. What do you think about that? What do you do if someone approaches you and you just don't really want to do a shoot, or doesn't interest you as much?
Well, all right, let's take event photography, for instance.
Yeah.
Event photography. Greatest marketing you could ever have. If you turn down event photography, you're a fool.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you know that.
Yeah.
And the reason why, I'm going to do an event photography. Guess what I'm carrying in my pocket? I'm going to people are going to think I've got, gifts in my bag, because I'm going to have so many business cards on me, and I'm going to be just, handing them to people as I'm doing the event. Anybody who makes a nice comment, or just, whatever, hey, if you ever need any services, here you go. Throw them a card. It's awesome marketing. Yeah. Events usually do pay well. I mean, even if you're not interested in the event, it doesn't matter. It's not the event that matters. It's capturing the moment. Yeah. And it's, it's taking those quality images. And also there's plenty of opportunities that spawn from things like that. So there, I don't turn any opportunities down. Yeah. I turn zero down. I don't turn down opportunities. I also charge my price for my opportunities. That's right. Okay. And so what you have to realize, everybody, is that as a photographer, if you want to do it for a career, the starting number, if you're looking for a quote unquote a starting number of what you have to make sure it works out to be $100 an hour. Gotcha. Okay. Minimum. Okay. That's like the starting point. Yeah. My own personal value where I'm at right now is way above 100 an hour. Right. Now people think about, okay, well, wait a minute, but you just said mini sessions, don't do those for $50 for a half hour and That would be, no, think about this, you guys. You drive to the location. You drive back. You do the shoot on the location. Now you go home and you load these images into your computer. Now you're sitting at the computer for how long? Now you're picking up the phone, speaking back and forth with the client. Now you're sending the images. Now you're doing this, Next thing you know, you got 6 hours wrapped up into it. Right. Into that $50 mini
for a half
session.
An hour. Yeah.
You got 6 hours wrapped up into that. If you're giving them the right respect that you should. Right. If you're pulling your pictures, JPEGs out of the camera and send them off to your clients, no. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. No, you're not. You're doing everybody an injustice. And that's really that's a false deal. Yeah. That's not fair. Yeah. So but that's really where you got to be. So I look at a basic shoot that's going to last an hour, and I know I've got at least 2 to 3 hours total going to be invested into that 1 hour shoot. Yeah. At minimum. Minimum. Yeah. And that's where the numbers come into play.
I agree with that. I think that's really good. Well, sweet. Looks like we don't have any other questions.
Brad says he met a group of jet skiers last year on Lake Michigan, and now they're his friends. And I'm there, and I'm sure it says probably you're their photographer. I would imagine it's not showing on our scroll what you finished up saying, but that's pretty awesome. I see those guys in Muskegon. It's probably the same guys, the guys with the stand-up jet skis that are doing the tricks and stuff. I bet you get some cool photos. Yeah. I mean, these guys are pretty sweet.
And again, that speaks to just get out, because you never know who you're going to meet. Have business cards is still, I think, doing photography for them.
Yep.
Nice, Brad. Business cards, or even something like an Instagram. Even if you don't want to deal with the business cards, a lot of younger photographers are like, nah, that's paper. Don't worry about it. At least have an Instagram, at least have a public portfolio, because even websites are becoming less and less popular for photographers to have a website. True. And most people are just doing Instagram because it's free, it's easy. Almost everybody has an Instagram, so it's very easy to look you up. Yeah. So I always say, at the very least, get an Instagram. So when you're at an event, when you're doing something, someone passes you by, oh, who are you, blah, blah, blah. You start talking to them and be like, hey, here's my Instagram. Show them your Instagram. They can follow you. And then if they want to connect later, have all your information there. or they can just DM you. Like it's
Yep.
so easy to do it. And just getting out and shooting is going to do it. If you're not out and shooting, if you're not doing things, if you're not going after it, then you're going to have less and less chances.
It's not an easy career.
No.
Photography is a go-getter career.
Right.
It really is. Like, if there's one piece of advice I can give you, if you want to do this as a professional career, you have to go for it.
Yeah.
You can't, you have to go get it. You have to make the phone calls, and it's a constant hustle.
Yeah.
It's not something that just gets on cruise control. Everybody has this mindset of, oh, you're a photographer, you take pictures.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I could do that.
I think a lot of people have the misconception too, that like you get to a point where you can just put it on cruise control and everyone will come to you. And you might get to the point where like you have a lot bigger of a name. You probably have more people that come to you, but that doesn't mean you can ever just sit back and
you don't just sit back and wait for the phone to ring.
Exactly.
No, if you're waiting for the phone to ring, it's you're going downhill quick.
Yeah.
And it will quit ringing after a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Absolutely. Yep. Brad wraps it up perfectly. Don't stop shooting.
That's right.
Totally love
Gotta
that.
Tear it up, man.
Absolutely.
Gotta tear it up. Love it.
Well, yeah, I think that kind of wraps up our time. I think it was great to talk to you, Kenny. I appreciate you coming on. It was good to kind of hear how you started, where you're at now, I think a lot of good information of how to get started as a career. I'm really thankful I'm able to do this for you guys and come on first. This is our first of hopefully many on this kind of new version that we're going to be doing. For those of you who don't know, we have another live scheduled later in December with Mike Amico from Olympus, which I know a lot of you guys are already familiar with Mike. He was on with Justin a ton. We really love Mike here. He's a great guy.
Yeah, Mike's great.
And we're going to be hearing from Mike as well, how he got started. We're going to go through, we're going to do some more photo stories. We're going to go through some of the photos that we've taken and the cool stories behind them, how we captured them. Because that's one of my favorite things, is hearing just the story behind the image. Because I think photos can tell so many stories just in and of themselves. And then it's so fun to hear all the behind the scenes and all the different things that actually went into capturing that image, capturing that memory.
And it's fun to look back at some of those photos.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they're such basic photos now.
Right.
Like when I look back at those original images, I'm like, pretty basic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just one of those things where you grow as a photographer and you get excited about different things as you progress.
Yes.
It is. It's fun. It's fun to kind of look back. I mean, when we were scrolling through some images the other day, I was just kind of like,
it's so fun to just look back and reminisce on it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you guys thought of it. This is a very new thing I'm doing as well. So let me know if there's improvements. Let us know if we sounded good, because we're going crazy with the audio this time. So I'm hoping it sounded really good for you guys. But yeah, other than that, hope to see you guys later when we do another live with Mike. But see you guys later.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good one.
See ya.